Welcome to the Dr. John Char Holistic Health Show. This is a subject that most of the people here are familiar with in terms of when they look in the toilet. A lot of times people are squeamish about talking about their stools. So we're going to be having this subject called What is Your Stools Telling You? Okay. So we have a questionnaire in our clinic that says, describe the stools you see in your toilet. And a lot of times, even though we have the pictures there and diagrams, people are squeamish again. They're ashamed of putting down what they see in the toilet bowl. But that's really important because you can almost diagnostically tell how your body is doing in regards to the digestive tract. So it's important to know that the many health conditions stem from poor eliminations in some way. So let's take a look at and peek in the stools in your toilet. Okay, so refer back to the chart. Okay. So you can see the chart right here, and there's about 7 different types of stool formation that when you look into the toilet you see. It can be type 1, which is the separate hard stools like nuts, and those are hard to pass. It's like rabbit pellets. Okay. And there's a type 2, which is like a sausage shape but lumpy. And you can see the formation here. It's kind of lumpy and hard. Then type 3, you see it look like a sausage with little cracks on the surface. You can see that, a little larger, and you can see it look like a sausage where it has little cracks on the surface. Now you see type 4, and you can see type 4 here, and the type 4 looks like a sausage or snake or even a banana without the curve, and it's soft, smooth. Type 5, it could look like a soft blob with the clear-cut edges. You can see the clear-cut edges here, right in here. Then there's a type 6, which is like fluffy pieces with ragged edges and a mushy stool. You can see right in this area. And finally, there's a type 7, which is watery, no solid pieces, entirely liquid. And some people say that's a form of diarrhea. Okay, so we're going to try to tell you which one is the healthy looking type of stools. So if you look at type 4, you're going to see it's like a slim, smooth surface, about 4 inches to 8 inches wide, and you can see it's like a sausage or snake, smooth and soft, and it usually is a light brown color. Okay, that is a healthy stool. It comes out of the anus smoothly. It doesn't drop to the bottom of the toilet, and it's firm, and it doesn't have very much of a smell. So there's 5 things we're going to look at right now. I'm going to tell you what to look for when you see your stools in the toilet bowl. First of all, you want to see that its formation as we talk to you. Is it lumpy? Is it cracked? Is it smooth? Okay. How large it is, or is it in lumps or bits, or is it watery? That's one of the first criteria. The second criteria is, what color is it? Is it yellow? Is it green? Is it red? Is it dark brown? Is it black looking? I'm going to be explaining to you all these characteristics of what it means. Then the fourth part is, does it smell? Does it have a foul odor to it? Does it have a different particular smell to it? All right. Now, what if it has a smell? And then, of course, if you do what we call flatulence, or you do what we call you poop. What happens? Does it have a bad smell to it? And what does it really mean? So, does it come out of your anus smoothly, or do you have to strain? Okay. And does it float, or does it sink? If it floats, what does it mean? And what it sinks, what does it mean? So we're going to go more in detail now. And when do you have a bowel movement? Do you have it 5 hours later after you eat? 12 hours? And 12 hours is the normal time within the 12-hour span. And another thing is, what is your transit time? That transit time is the delivery of the bowels being digested in your colon, and then it exits through your anus out into the bowel. So, what's the issues that we have to address? Again, is the stools too large? What does it mean if your stools are too large? It's a sign of lactose or casein intolerance. What do you mean by that? It means that if you eat a lot of dairy products and the products are not being broken down, digested properly, you can increase the size of your bowel movement. Okay. What if the stools are hard and pebble-like? What are those signs? They're signs of poor liver and gallbladder functions and a lack of digestive enzymes. Large and hard stools, as well as diarrhea, can lead to straining and possibly hemorrhoids. What if it's very thin, stringy, or flattened looking stools? There can be signs of a polyp. You know, people go to the doctor, and you get these colonoscopy. And what they're looking for are these polyps. Well, if you have signs of the polyps and any obstruction, it can cause narrowing of the elimination pathways. Present with the notion that you may have some irritation in the colon itself, and people can label that as irritable bowel syndrome, or people call it IBS, and that is a spastic colon. What if the stools are greasy, fatty, messy, and leave a film of grease in the toilet? How many times have you gone to a public restroom and look at the toilet, and there was, after you flush the toilet, from somebody else's fecal material floating in the toilet, and they had a stain or fecal material staining the toilet bowl? These are the signs of a pancreas dysfunction. And when you say pancreas dysfunction, what do you mean by pancreas dysfunction? Well, it can be from you having an insulin resistance or glucose sugar imbalance. Means that your glucose is not being readily monitored in the digestive system. And that is from the pancreas not being able to regulate the insulin to control the glucose in the body. And with that, you can get an irritable bowel syndrome. Okay. What about the stools are pale, grayish, or light yellow? What does that indicate? That can indicate a liver and gallbladder problem. Now, this is the one that you really have to take a good look at. Is the stools dark black stools? If it is, it could be bleeding in the digestive tract. Bleeding in the digestive tract. Or in some advanced cases, it can be the indication of possible cancer in the colon, and we would have you go to your physician and check those out in a lab test. What about stools with blood or mucus? What does that mean? It can be an ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease, disease of the small intestines, hemorrhoids, or colon cancer. Now what you want to see is a healthy stools. And these, okay, should not be extremely strong. It means that the texture of the stools. And it should be non-foul smelling. The worse smells, the higher degree the bowel toxicity. So the more the smells you have, the higher degree of toxicity. Now what does diet has to do with this? Well, a poor diet alone can cause odor problems, but other health issues can also contribute. I want to talk about diet. Now, a lot of the fast food industry has been really criticized about the fat they have and how much sugar they put into their foods. And if you start getting bloating and gassy and foul odor after you continuously eat from fast food restaurants, what's it telling you? It's contributing to the toxicity in your body, and the colon will also reflect that and as well from the bowel eliminations. Okay. So odor may signal a lack of healthy bacteria like acidophilus, called the friendly bacteria, or bifidobacterium, also called probiotics. So your gut needs to stay balanced and to assist in the digestion and assimilation of foods you eat or you have overgrown or unhealthy yeast or bacteria, and that can be Candida albicans. Now what does Candida albicans play a role in this? That's fungus, that's yeast that you have. One of the classic signs that you can see that in conjunction with your colon is looking at your big toe and the sides of your toenail, and you can see a little black line or big shadow, dark color coming on. That's assuming that you didn't get any injury to your toe, big toe. And also, when it gets getting to the advanced stage, you get to see if there is your modeling, like your big toenail is being eaten up and it's really rough, okay? And it give you an idea that you might have Candida albicans in your system. And if you have Candida albicans, that can be usually in conjunction with parasites. And if you have that, you would usually have sometimes a diarrhea or very loose stools. So, what are we going to do now? We're going to try to explain to you a little more in detail, quickly, what is an ideal bowel movement look like. An ideal bowel movement is a medium brown and is colored with plain cardboard. It's like the color of a plain cardboard. It leaves the body easily with no straining or discomfort. It should have the consistency of toothpaste and approximately 4 to 8 inches long. The stool should enter the water smoothly and slowly fall once it reaches the water. There shall be little or no gas or odor to it. That's what you like to see in your bowel movements and saying that you're pretty healthy. The stools that sink quickly, rapidly sinking stools can indicate that a person isn't eating enough fiber, rich food, such as vegetables, fruits, and whole grains, or drinking enough water. The stool is often dark because they have been sitting in the intestines for a prolonged period of time. Okay. What about a pale looking stool? Well, the stools can be pale or gray, may be caused by insufficient bile outcome due to the conditions such as cholecystitis, gallstones, giardia, parasites infection, hepatitis, chronic pancreatitis. Okay, hepatitis is the liver. Chronic pancreatitis has to do with the pancreas regulating insulin, or cirrhosis means it's degenerating the liver. Bile salts from the liver gave stools its brownish color. So if you get a brownish color and you don't have a brownish color, a lot of times you lack some bile salts. If there is a decrease in bile output, then the stools become lighter in color. So remember now, the color can be altered by the amount of bile you secrete out of it. Other causes of pale stool is the use of antacids that contains aluminum hydroxide. Stools may be temporary, become pale after a barium enema test. And you know what a barium enema test is? So you can take x-rays, get contrast. So pale stools also can be shiny or greasy, float, and be foul smelling due to undigested fat in the stools. So looking for that for people who have floating stools, which is greasy looking and foul smelling. The soft smelling stools, what is that? The soft foul smelling stools are the ones that floats, sticks to the side of the bowl, or is difficult to flush away. May mean that it's increased fat in the stools called steatorrhea. And the stools is sometimes also pale. Some people have mucus in their stools, and mucus can be a whitish mucus type of stool that indicate there's an inflammation in the intestines. Mucus in the stools can occur with either constipation or diarrhea. Okay, so look for whitish stool. And you have mucus that a lot of times you have that following into your cough and your mucus in your chest. Okay, it all comes from the small intestine area. Green stools. The liver constantly makes bile a bright green fluid that's secreted directly into the small intestines or stored in the gallbladder. So the liver constantly making bile can be a bright green fluid. What about loose stools? A lot of people have loose stools. In traditional Chinese medicine, loose stools can be abdominal bloating, can be lack of energy and poor appetite. And these are the signs of a condition known as spleen qi deficiency. It doesn't necessarily involve the actual spleen, but is linked to tiredness and weak digestion brought on by stress and poor diet. There are some things called the pencil-thin stools. Like loose stools, stools that are pencil-thin can be caused by a condition in traditional Chinese medicine, and that is spleen, again, qi deficiency. Other symptoms of spleen deficiency are bruising, easily be bruising, mental fogginess, bloating, gas, loose stools, fatigue. You have poor appetite. You have loose stools with little odor. Symptoms that worsen with stress, undigested foods in the stools, and difficult ending the bowel movement. Spleen qi deficiency can be brought on by stress and overwork. Okay, remember now, pencil-thin stools. Okay, pencil-thin stools can be caused by bowel obstructions, benign rectal polyps, prostate enlargement. People, everybody worrying about the male about enlarged prostates. They have a urinary incontinence. Colon or prostate cancer are some of the causes of the conditions that cause obstructions. What if you don't go to the bathroom as often as you want to? That could be infrequent stools, and that is constipation. Infrequent hard stools. But that is passed on with straining, and that straining can lead ultimately to a hemorrhoid. What about pellet type stools? You look into the toilet, and you see things really small, round balls, okay, and look like sometimes rabbit manure, okay. In traditional Chinese medicine, pellet stools is caused by a condition from the liver qi stagnation. So remember, now we talked about the spleen qi stagnation. We're talking about liver qi stagnation. And liver qi stagnation can be brought on by stress. Again, so both can be cause stress. Cause stress to the spleen qi deficiency, or you're going to see a liver type deficiency. Lack of exercise can worsen your problem. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about the hard and dry type of stools. So the amount of time it takes for the food to eat and make it away through the gastrointestinal system and exit through the toilet will have an impact on the consistency of your stools. So remember now, that's called transit time. How long does it take to get from the mouth down to your anus? Intestinal transit averages about 40 to 45 hours from when you eat or when it comes out, says Fox Orenstein. Okay, if it stays in the GI tract for longer than that, fluid is reabsorbed into the body and the stools become harder and drier. Certain medications like blood pressure, drugs, antidepressants, and histamines can slow down the GI tract. So therefore, constipation, which has a myriad of causes, will lead to a harder, drier stools. Since you're going less often, your stools will stall in the system and the fluid be reabsorbed. For some people, a diet high in dairy can be a cause of constipation. So if you're experiencing problems going and having dry, hard to pass stools, when you finally go, it is worth reducing your dairy intake for a week or two to see if that helps. Okay? And being dehydrated can also lead to problems causing the body to be lack of water, and it will draw it and conserve it and whenever it can find it. So then that's how. When you're constipated, you're mostly dehydrated. So little lumps. An ideal stool looks like a torpedo. It should be large, soft, fluffy, and easy to pass. But when the conditions are less than ideal, the stools may become more like little deer pellets. And again, transit time may be a part of the issue because slow-moving stools will lose fluid, making them less fluffy and lumpier. A lack of fiber, that's really important. Now, we're going to be talking about fiber a lot in the next show. Fiber in a diet may also be to blame. So if you take too much fiber, you can get what? Diarrhea. If you take less fiber, sometimes you get constipation. Beware if you're following a weight loss program such as the Atkins diet that focuses on increasing proteins and decreasing carbohydrates, since that can leave you with a diet that's low in fiber. And since fiber holds on to fluid, that's what you want, so you don't get constipation, a lack of it will lead to a harder, pellet-like poops that may be more difficult to pass. So too liquid. So when you have too liquid a stool, your body secretes the 8 liters of fluid during the course of a day. And from the stomach, salivary glands and pancreas, salivary glands and pancreas to hold your food, and it gets broken down and makes its way through the digestive tract. Under normal, healthy conditions, the majority of the fluid is absorbed along the way, resulting in those sought-after soft, fluffy stools. But if the food passes through too quickly, there isn't enough time for all the liquid to get absorbed, and the stools emerges too soft a state. The reason for such super quick transit could include a sudden increase of fiber in the diet, or bacterial or viral infection. And when there is infection, the body produces toxin, which causes water to be released. So, this is some of the tips that you can look at when you look into your in your toilet and watch what kind of stools you have, and that can gauge the type of health, digestive health that you're in. So, stay tuned for the next show where we go more into detail about different types of stools and how it can affect your health. So, when you go through the internet, go ahead and stay tuned and go to drjohnchar.com, Facebook, personal account at Facebook, Twitter, and you see me on blog, mobile, iMobile, Easy Article Forums, fan page, and Google. So you can see me in many different forms. So we'll talk to you later on the next show and more about your stools. Are they healthy?